Welcome to Boomhauer69's channel, and today Boomhauer is gonna do a video about this little tent I got right here. As you can see, here's what one of them little pop-up tents. Now yesterday I was trying to set this up and I already lost one of the tent stakes. I was yesterday in my yard messing around with this, trying to set it up in a windstorm just to see how easy it would be on a windy day to set it up. And so I already lost one of the little El Cheapo tent stakes, which if I was going to actually use this tent, I would definitely get some different tent stakes. But here's the instructions on how to set this up and take this down. And they're very useful, and I say that sarcastically because they're good for nothing instructions. Set those over here. But I was looking around on the internet, and I was actually looking at my Facebook, and Facebook recommended me a 5 and below advertisement, and in the advertisement, 5 and below store advertised this little 2-person pop-up tent, and I thought, oh hey, that would be a good video to see how crappy and garbage it truly is, And I thought, hey, that would be a good product to review and see how truly crappy garbage it is. One thing I noticed right off the bat looking at the instructions is this tent is not waterproof whatsoever. So it says, and it even says in the instructions, not waterproof, so keep that in mind. But this tent only cost $15 and some change. So, and if you know what 5 and below stores are, they're a store that sells kind of low garbage quality stuff. They're kind of, I guess you could say they're kind of like a Harbor Freight almost. But 5 and below stores, they're like, dollar stores and Harbor Freight and them kind of stores that just simply sell some kind of low quality stuff and low quality stuff. And if you're in Canada, they're like that Princess Auto and Canadian Tire. They just sell kind of cheap stuff, and most of the stuff that 5 and below sells is kind of like cheap novelty things, like if you like little action figures and kind of comic book related things, you can get a lot of that kind of little goofy stuff. But anyways, on Facebook I got recommended a 5 and below advertisement, and it showed this tent, and I thought, hey, that'd be a good thing to go to the store and see if they have it in stock and buy it, because I happened to be going to a town that day that had a 5 and below store, and so I thought, hey, why not go in there and see if they have one, and if they do, then do a video about it. So without further ado, we'll see how setup is and how easy it is to put this back together. Now this is the very first time I ever had a pop-up tent, one of these pop-up tents. This is the very first time I ever had or used any of these, but this is what it looks like after me trying to put it back in the bag. Yesterday I struggled really hard trying to get this thing back in the bag. It was a nightmare, because this is the first time I ever used one of these, first time I ever had one of these silly little pop-up tents. So let's unravel it here. And I'll show you how super cool quality this is. See if I can't figure this darn thing out. Now they claim that this is a two-person basic little dome tent. So they're claiming that two people in there. I'm assuming two children or two adults, because, well, one adult, because obviously two adults in something like this, they better be quite, friendly. Basically, if you and your wife are gonna go camping, you're gonna be really cramped in this. But we'll put this together here. Fly on. It is a little bit windy out today, but not as bad as it was yesterday when this thing was blowing all over. Let's zip this up here and see how well the zipper works. Oh, it's got a little pouch inside. I'll show you the inside after the zipper all up here. But here's what, so far, this little $15 little dome tent looks like from 5 and below. We'll do a walk around. But here's what it looks like. Here's how cheap old plastic your tent poles are. These right here where my hand is, I don't know if you can see that very well. That's how real thin and cheap your poles are, and here's how thin your fabric is. Now this is not waterproof at all. I want to make that clear. The instruction says it's not waterproof, so if you're using this in the rainstorm, you're gonna get soaking wet, and you're gonna be sorely disappointed, mad, and not a happy camper. So I'll set the camera down and show you the inside, and I'll see if I can fit in it. Now here's what it looks like with the bug screen on it, with just the bug screen instead of the actual this right here is your shade blocker, which privacy curtain, whatever you want to call it, privacy shade blocker, so nobody can see inside there while you're sleeping. And then there's your bug screen. I'll show a close-up of that. Now up top here it has a little hook right here, which I didn't realize. It has a little hook up here where you could, possibly hang a light, but here's some little vents. It's got some little, like they all do, a lot of tents have those little bug screen vents up at top, and that's what it looks like with the rain fly little shade blocker, some call them a rain fly, in place. But here's what the bug screen net looks like when you got it fully zipped up. Also has some little tie downs for your little tent door and stuff, so if you want to roll your door up and like in the old tent. But this is super paper thin, I can tell you that right now. But that's just the inside in the tent. Oh, lay down here and show you all. I don't have this anchored down to the ground. I don't got the tent stakes in the ground. I actually lost one of the tent stakes, but I'm 5'8", and this is, and I'm 5'8" and about 200 some pounds, and I can fit in this pretty good. You know, I can lay down easily on this. Now, obviously, somebody over 6 foot, they're gonna have problems. They would have to kind of sleep diagonally. They would have to do this probably, or get a bigger tent. But and so I can lay down in this easy, no problem whatsoever. But my thoughts on this super cheap $15 pop-up tent is, it claims to be for indoor, outdoor use, and it even says for camping, but tells you it's not waterproof and stuff. So the first thing you would have to do with a tent like this is you'd have to go out and spend more money, because it's only $15, this little pop-up tent. You'd have to spend more money, and you'd have to go out and buy a tarp. You'd have to upgrade the tent stakes, because they're little paper-thin tent stakes. You'd have to upgrade those. So you're going to spend probably another $5, $10 there. And then, if depending on what type of tarp you get, you know, another $5, $10. So all in all, you're going to have roughly around $25, $30, and for the same price, you can easily go out and get a way 10 times better tent. Because if I was to use, I know darn well if I was to use this tent, in a rainstorm, I'd be all soaking wet if I didn't have a tarp over it. In a windstorm, this thing would just, you'd have it all anchored down, it would just rip and tear and go fly away, because paper thin, so it would rip and tear easily, and the little plastic poles would just break, and it'd be junk. Probably 1 or 2 times you use it, it would, in a camping situation, it would be junk, and just wouldn't be nothing. Now, if you're just looking for a little indoor tent, because they had 3 colors, if I remember right. I know they had green and pink, and then they also, I think, had blue color. If you're looking for a little indoor play tent, let's say you want a little cheap $15 indoor play tent for your children to mess around with, because that's what 5 and below is kind of geared towards children, and they do have adult things there as well, but it's kind of like I say adult/kid store, and well, you all probably, that watch this, probably know what 5 and below is. But if you're looking for a little indoor cheap play tent for your children, you know, you got little ones and you just want them to have a little indoor play tent to mess around with and stuff, this wouldn't be a bad little tent for just kids to mess around with indoors and have fun with. But as an adult or somebody that's homeless, because homeless people don't have a lot of money, and they're gonna come into a 5 and below store and see this, and they're gonna slap down the $15 and buy the tent, and they're gonna be sorely disappointed. So that's why I'm doing this video. This is for homeless people or adults that do regular camping. I would not recommend this tent whatsoever. I would stay away from it. But I'm going to say, if you got little kids and you just want an indoor little play tent or something, you know, just something where they can mess around indoors and have a little clubhouse, whatever, you know, sleep over, this might be the tent for them. But it's really super cheap. I would even suggest save your money, spend about $20, $30 and get you because for a little bit more, you can easily go on Amazon and get a good 2-person dome tent that you can use indoors, outdoors. It's weatherproof, rainproof, you know, and all that, and save your money. This little $15 tent it is kind of neat, you know. I think, hey, a $15 tent, it is kind of cool, kind of neat, and I'm even surprised they even managed to make a cheap $15 tent. But in reality, the material is paper thin, and the poles, as I showed earlier, they're real cheap, where they just eventually break. And the little plastic little snaps that kind of snap together the tent when you're folding it up, those actually come off when they're not supposed to and stuff. And this bug screen netting, you could easily, if you're not careful, put a hole in it because it's super cheap. But I'll show you it with the shade up, the curtain shade thingy. It's got two zippers on here. It's got, see if I adjust this camera a little bit. It's got two zippers on it. One for the bug screen and one for simply using the shade blocker. Well, there's what it looks like with the shade privacy curtain but at the end of the day, this tent is just a super cheap tent where it's just gonna break where if you try to use it. So is there somebody homeless and you need a tent and you got $15 and you're and you see this in 5 and below and you think, oh, that's gonna be a tent? Well, you're not gonna get away with using it because it's super cheap. A good windstorm, I could see just ripping this apart and just trashing it. Rain, because it's not waterproof, so rain would get to it and it'd be all weird and mildewy and then you'd get a musty smell. And if you're homeless, you know, that might not make you too happy. Me, but I will say I do like how they actually did up top here, put a little hook so you can kind of potentially hang a light lantern, which I probably wouldn't hang something too heavy because I imagine that would just, being super cheap, would just rip, and then you'd have a light come down on your head and bust you in the face, and where you'd be a cussing and a fussing. But I noticed over here, I'll show you, which I didn't know, is over here, there's a little pocket, so you can put a few little items and stuff. But all in all, my thoughts on this tent for like camping and out, like actual camping, I would not buy this tent at all for camping purposes. I just got it to do a YouTube video about it and raise awareness about it and show people the quality of this tent so people don't make the mistake of buying this. I wouldn't even, for like a children's tent, like indoor, outdoor children's tent, I wouldn't recommend it because it's so cheap and a lot of kids are really rough on their toys and stuff. So this would be one that your little ones could easily rip and tear and destroy, and you're out $15, you know, if you're a mom or dad that's out there, you know, don't have a whole lot of money and stuff. So you may want to save up and get a little bit better quality tent and stuff, because this, you know, children can be rough on things, and this is one of those tents that a child could easily rip, tear, and destroy, and after a few days and stuff. So it is neat. I will say that it's a neat 5 and below item, because I never thought 5 and below would ever sell a tent, and I was like, wow, they actually sell a tent. I'll have to check that out. And well, here it is. It's just cheap junk like you get at 5 and below, you know. Sometimes at 5 and below, and like Harbor Freight and all those stores, and if you live in Canada, like Princess Auto and Canadian Tire, you sometimes can get something a little decent. But this is one of those items I would say do not buy, because as far as being a tent, no. But if you just want a cheap tent for indoors for your little kitties to mess around with, you might be able to get away with that, but as like an actual camping tent and camping and all that, no, you won't. I would not recommend this for an outdoor camping tent whatsoever. It's too junk and cheap. I may one day take this to a campground and may go camping in it just to see how, and just to be that kind of stupid, but well, I might just after this video throw it in the trash, but yeah, this is, I'm gonna say a do not buy product if you see this tent at 5 and below. Now we'll see how easy it is to take it down and put it back in the bag. Now here's the little windscreen rain fly and how paper thin it is. This just to give you a close up of more how paper thin the material is that they used on this tent. The tent is super cheap, and it looks nice, you know, it is eye-catching. I can tell you that right now when people say, hey, a tent. And, well, these little plastic connector pieces, there's how cheap plastic they are, and these poles, I can tell you right now, with little to no force, I could easily break that pole and bust it, and so a good windstorm, if you had to use this camping and a wind and rainstorm came up and caught you off guard, this tent would easily break and bust, and you'd be without a tent, and if you're lucky, you'd have to sleep in your car, or if you're on a motorcycle, you're going to be screw glued and tattooed. But yeah, let's put it back in the box, in the bag, I should say. Go and spin and see how easy it is to fold this bad boy up. Now this is my first time ever owning one of these round pop-up tents, so it might be a little tricky for me to do it. It says in the instructions do like some sort of like weird configuration or something that, yeah, good for nothing. Well, I don't know if I did that right or not, but there's kind of a gobble-up mess, and I can tell you over time, doing this multiple times, folding this up, setting it up, taking it down, folding it up, you're going to put so much tension on these cheap plastic poles that it's just going to good for nothing bust, and so that's another reason why. And these little things are glued in, and they use cheap glue, and I imagine they just put some cheap hot glue in the holes and then stab these little poles in there. But yeah, over time, taking this down, setting it back up, you're gonna put so much stress on these El Cheapo little poles here, tent poles, that I could guarantee you this thing would break and stuff. But now this is my first time owning any sort of these style of pop-up tents. I know some people like them because they're a convenient thing, which that's debatable. And a lot of people say, oh, these are more compact than standard dome tents, which to me, the rectangle ones, these little round ones, a rectangle one, I always like them better. Like my Lake and Trail, it's the standard old basic zinc dome tent where you just got fold up poles and you just roll up the actual shelter and stuff, and I like that more than I like this. This is a little bit pain in the butt. Oh, better put the rain fly back in there. There. So again, I'll show you the tent stakes. Here's the good for nothing paper thin tent stakes that you would definitely have to upgrade if you was gonna mess around with this outside. The instructions are not that great and not that hopeful. And now this tent did come with 4 tent stakes, but I want to remind everyone again, I lost one of the tent stakes out in the yard somewhere and I never found it, even taking my little magnet on the stick and trying to find it. So I lost one of the tent stakes already, so that's why there's only 3 in the bag, because I actually lost one of them little cheap things, and trust me, they're so thin that if you try to find it, good luck. You need a metal detector to find it, so keep that in mind. So you definitely, if you're gonna purchase this little tent for your little ones and let them use it outside, you would definitely want to get better tent stakes for it. You know, get some of those nice plastic ones they sell and stuff. And here's a picture of what I'm talking about, tent stakes. But what I'm gonna say, my final thoughts on this: if you see this for $15 and 5 below, I probably wouldn't recommend buying it. I'm gonna say it's a do not buy. Because my idea was, if this would have been a little bit, you know, okay, a little bit better than what it is, I thought this would be perfect little tent to buy up and give to some homeless people to store their gear in. You know, they have their main tent and then have this set up where they, and then they have their main tent, you know, that they sleep in and stuff, and then this as like maybe a second tent, you know, and with a second tent to put gear in and stuff, because that's what I kind of thought at first, like, oh, if this turns out to be anything somewhat decent. I knew it wasn't going to be the greatest thing in the world, being only $15, but I thought, oh, if that tent looked a little okay, I'd recommend it for homeless people to use as a thing to store some extra gear in, you know, like a little storage thing, so they have more room in their main tent while they're sleeping. But I'm gonna say it is a typical small 2-person tent, but it's just too super cheap and junk where I'm just not going to recommend it. Save your money, you know, save another $50 and you can get a way better tent than this, and that's going to last you a long time. They flood Amazon and Walmart. You can easily go on Amazon.com or Walmart and get a super better tent, but because a tent like this, even if you use this indoor with your kiddies, your children, if you got children that are rough on toys and stuff, they would be easily rough on this, where you'd come into their room and you'd see a big giant rip in it, or something would break on it. So, but it is interesting and kind of neat, like, hey, 5 and below sold a tent, you know, but it's 5 and below quality. So I'm gonna give this two thumbs down and just 1 star, because I just wouldn't recommend it, you know. And for those of you that are gonna comment in the comment section, well, it's 5 and below, what do you expect? I know, but I'm just doing a video about this for homeless people that might live near a 5 and below, or have access to a 5 and below, and they're looking for a tent, to warn them, hey, save your money, man. It's not worth it. Go to Walmart. You can get a better one at Walmart, you know, easy. Don't get this, because you're gonna be sorely disappointed. Because with this, you would definitely have to get a good tarp, That's going to cost you another $5, $10, and then you got to upgrade a tent stage for another $5 and $10. And if you ain't got a whole lot of money, you want a tent, and you're homeless, you want a tent that you can just set up, stay in, and you don't need no other stuff to go with it. This one, you're going to have to buy some stuff to go with it to make it even somewhat safe to use. And even then, in a high windstorm with a tarp over it, it's going to rip and blow away, and you're going to be standing there crying and saying, oh my God, I wasted all that money, and you know. So don't, for adults that like to go camping, homeless people, or somebody in need of a tent, save your money and get something better. Walmart. That's what I think of that tent. So probably what I'll do with it is just give it away to a friend of mine that's got children and let them rough house and tear it up. But if you like this sort of content, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, or a thumbs down if you didn't like it. Comment your thoughts below. What did you think of this video? Was it a good video, bad video, whatever? Hope you all have a good day, and thank you for watching Boomhauer69's YouTube channel.